Hi everyone. Um, I've not got my microphone with me because I didn't charge my mics. So I'm coming to you now. It's cut real quiet this time. The video's cut real quiet. So today I kind of fucked up, I have to admit, because what happened was I thought there was going to be a fascist march in central Brighton, but what actually happened was there was a Tommy Robinson march in London specifically today. There was a march by Tommy Robinson today. Not that it matters now. And Stand Up to Racism were having marches all over the country. I don't know when the other SUTR marches were, but I do know that today there was a march in central Brighton, and in London there was also a Stand Up to Racism march as well. So in London there were anti-racist marches, and Tommy Robinson, the Tommy Robinson anti-asylum seeker march was also there. I didn't go to the Central Brighton protest, obviously, because there are gang stalkers within my side of the community, as well as the white side of the community. So I don't think there's any point in me really showing my face, knowing that there's going to be infiltrators there that know full well that their gang stalking of me is contributing and undercutting the progressive cause. So I'm not about to go down there and, make love in now, how do I put this? I'm not about to go down there and make nice with people in public for a movement that I know is a lie. That I know is a lie, or I know is being undermined from within through the fringe people within their communities. I already know what's going on, so I'm not about to show up there and make an idiot of myself. But I did fuck up with the Central Brighton thing. I thought there was going to be a main protest in Brighton, but I don't know what's been going on in Brighton. I think at most, if there was going to be any fascist people in Brighton, it might be maybe a counter protest kind of arranged at the last minute, but I don't really see that happening. So it looks like the Tommy Robinson march was just in London, right? So there's that, but there's also something that I want to say about the comments in my video with regards to Sharon Stott and anti-Islam rhetoric, with regards to those videos. I did get a lot of trolls on those videos that were connected to Tommy Robinson. I'm convinced that there were trolls online that were connected to Sharon Stott and Tommy Robinson. That I was expecting. But I also believe that there were perps online as well. And I believe that my neighbours are among the trolls involved in talking shit online. Of course, I can't prove this, but I believe some of the trolls online were my neighbours. And I believe some of the insults were fed to them by some other racists around here in Woodingdean. But again, I can't prove this necessarily. It's just a suspicion that I have. So what I've done is I've taken it upon myself to talk to homeless prevention with my suspicions. I've made it clear that these are just suspicions, that they're not concrete evidence of anything. Because just like my belief that Central Brighton had a fascist march in it, you can always be fucking wrong, okay? You can always be wrong. So I let this person know, this homeless prevention officer know, that these are my suspicions, but they are going to be suspicions based on prior behaviors and evidence of relatives of Emma Logan's and friends of Emma Logan's harassing me online. So I'm just going off that, really. That's one of the things that I'm going off when it comes to the YouTube comments. So it wasn't just far-right trolls. It was also trolls from within the community here that have been coming on my page using racist slurs and then accusing me of being a racist. Truth be told, truth be told, I know I'm not a racist, so if anything, I think it's funny. Like, so I'm sorry. If anything, like, I found a lot of the insults by the trolls to be like really, really funny, and some of it disgusting, but honestly, their insults are child's play. Child's play. Like, I've been humiliated and battered and verbally abused for so long. I've gotten really good at the comebacks, man. So they're not coming with anything. They're not coming with any real heat. It's just the same old shit. The Brillo pad line about my hair, right here, about this mop right here. That thing, that's an insult that has been used for decades. Like the N-word insults, the Brillo pad insults, you know, you need white women hair to look nice. Those type of insults have been used for decades. Like, this is nothing new, all right? So, if anything, the insults were unimaginative. They were boring, just usual shit, like lying, gaslighting, petty insults, you know, bodily humor. I use a lot of bodily insults as well, but mine are imaginative. Mine have flair. They have panache. Like, they don't have any flair. They don't have any poetry. They don't have any style. It's just the same unseasoned, you know, petty, dishonest nonsense. Like, you know, the insults don't have any real flair, right? The only one that really made me angry, the only insult that any of the Tommy Robinson trolls or the Gangstalking perps, the only insult that really affected me, that really made me angry, was accusing me of sanctioning rape. That is something I don't play about. I don't play about the rape of young girls. I don't care what their racial background is. I don't play with the rape of young girls. I don't care what their race is. I don't play about that. That, you know, it's not even the thought of somebody accusing me of co-signing rape that really pisses me off. It's just the thought of anybody being violated in that way. It makes me furious on a level that I can't explain. Just the thought of somebody doing that is just like, you see my fist clenching right now. Like, the thought of somebody doing that to someone else makes me incredibly violent. So for somebody to accuse me of wanting to see girls raped because I don't want brown and black people to be genocided, that's really gonna have me wanting to fuck a person up. That's the thing that will absolutely make me violent. The insults to my hair and my body and my looks, like, I've heard it all before, because gang stalking, it really gets you used to that shit. So you always have a ready comeback for that shit. You always have a ready comeback, because, you know, it's not just belonging to a marginalized group or, you know, being black, queer, or woman, or fat, or whatever. Like, it's not just those things that really gets you used to being insulted. It's also being a targeted individual, because they, like, even without blackness and femaleness and queerness, they weaponize literally everything against you. Insert that song, because that's the point of psychological warfare. They weaponize everything about you against you, even things that the rest of the world would find socially acceptable. Gang stalking will find a way to turn it into something awful. They will find a way to turn it into something else. So I'm used to the insults. I'm used to all that. I had a field day. I had a field day going into them comments and clearing those trolls up. I had fun. Okay. But that one thing with me being accused of, you know, being okay with the rape of young girls, like, I don't fuck with that. That's something I don't fuck with. That's fighting talk. And I don't give a fuck what gender you are. That's fighting talk right there. You don't say some shit like that unless you want to get popped. On some real shit. You know what I mean? Never ever use the trauma of abuse and trafficking victims to co-sign your egotistical bullshit. That's the fastest way to get me angry. Okay? But it's like I said before, Gangstalking Search Song will use anything and everything. They will weaponize everything against you to paint you as somebody not to be trusted, or to isolate you, or to make you feel insecure. They will use anything against you. They will weaponize everything. Case in point, I was in the co-op today, right? And I was at the till, and I was, you know, getting my stuff together, and the cashier was waiting to charge me. And the lady came up and immediately put her groceries down. Bear in mind, I hadn't even finished paying for my groceries yet. I hadn't even finished paying for mine. So what she actually did was she came up and put her groceries right next to me. And because the cashier had not charged me yet, because the thing is, if the cashier had charged me, I would have been like, yo, it's okay, just come up. Because I've done that before, right? So because the cashier hadn't charged me, I said, I'm not done yet. This couple behind me went out of their way to act like I was smacking her in the face. The way they looked at me and the way they went to the cashier after me and said, I don't like the way she treated that lady. I didn't treat the lady like anything. I said, I'm paying for something at the moment. I didn't say I'm paying for something at the moment. I said, I'm not finished yet. And it's true, I wasn't. It was a simple thing where there was a miscommunication, and like, you know, I hadn't paid for my stuff yet, and, you know, the lady was cutting in when I hadn't finished yet. It's a standard thing. It's not a big deal. But the way Gangstalking Azertsit song works is that they take small interactions like that and they find a way to villainize you with those interactions. I'm already black, which is strike one in Woodingdean. Then on top of that, strike two, I'm assertive. I have the ability to ask for what I want very directly. I make myself very plain. I don't hide my emotions. That's strike two, right? So they take those two strikes. That couple took those two strikes and they used it to try to paint me as being a monster for saying, oh, I'm not ready yet. And they saw I wasn't rude, because that same couple, when I was taking too long, I turned around to them and I said, I'm sorry I'm taking so long. And yet they still went out of their way to villainize me over a woman who was buying a multi-pack of ready salted crisps. Like, get fucking real. But that's exactly what gangstalking does. This is why when you describe gangstalking to people, it sounds absolutely crazy, because they literally even when you're doing the right thing, they will weaponize that against you. Can you believe, with me taking care of my hygiene, that even that's weaponized against me? Like, me taking care of my hygiene, me smelling good, even that's weaponized against me by the gang stalkers. Even that's weaponized. So the part of Zertsit song that has hardened me over the years is me having everything about me weaponized against me. Even when I end up doing what everybody wants me to do, even when I do what I'm supposed to do, it's still a bad thing. The goalposts are always shifting in terms of social etiquette, in terms of how you present yourself, in terms of the words that come out of your mouth. The goalposts are always shifting when it comes to Zertsit song, because it's important for them, the gangstalkers and the perps, to keep you off balance and to isolate you from other people, to use people's shallow perception, which is necessary for survival, by the way, shallow perception, to use people's shallow perception to isolate not only you as a targeted individual, but to isolate the people that are bystanders as well. So it's like two parties being isolated here from each other, right? And that's done through exaggerating the negativity of each perceived moment. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. So that's one, that co-op example is just one example. Like, even when you're doing stuff that you're supposed to be doing, like, perps and gang stalkers will find a way to weaponize that. Always. You know what I mean? And when you have a lifetime of that, because remember, like, my parents are gang stalking victims. Just because I only found out about gang stalking in my 20s, it doesn't mean it hasn't been going on all my life. Like, the gangs, hang on a minute. It's always that little part there. The gang stalking is intergenerational. So there's no way, like getting used to that all my life, getting used to having everything that I do weaponized into, you know, everything I get wrong is a deliberate lie. Everything, you know, every instance where I'm asserting myself is me being rude or me being hostile. It's always turned around in a way to make me seem more intimidating, more violent, and more disrespectful than I actually am. Always. So with me going through stuff like that, when it comes to trolls online, and you will remember all that shit I had to deal with Nerve Gorilla. I shouldn't mention him, but like all the stuff I've had to deal with him as well, that'll harden a bitch. Okay? So all that trolling, online trolling, that is nothing to me. If anything, all those screenshots that I got, juxtaposed against the contents of my actual videos, all of that speaks for itself. There's not a goddamn thing I have to do. So, you know, the gang stalkers and the perps can run on their lies. The far right can run on their lies. I already know what I'm about to do because, you know, here's the thing. The Nazis are winning. The Nazis are winning and they've been winning. It's just that as they win, they get angrier and angrier because their victory doesn't look how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to end with them smiling and them feeling happy and black and brown people and libs being it's supposed to be like that. It was not supposed to be the way it is. Every single time they win, they get angrier. It's because they haven't figured out that them winning anything is death to God knows how many people. It means increased poverty. It means increased famine. It means increased illness. It means increased war. Every time they win, it's another point for the four horsemen. It's another point for misery, and they don't seem to get that. That's why every single time they win, they get angrier and angrier because they don't see how hollow their victories are. All they want is somebody else to be more miserable than they are. And that's it. And that's it. That's all they want. All they want is somebody to be more miserable than they are. But because they don't get that, because they lie to themselves so much and they lack self-awareness and they got a chip on their shoulder about how educated or not educated they actually are, they weaponize their own ignorance and their own lack of desire to understand anybody different to them. They utilize that in order to continue on this path of ultimately self-destruction. So the Nazis will win. They will win again. And, you know, in the Western world, the Nazis didn't win the last time around. You know, they kind of lost. You know, they had their moment in the sun. And fascism will have its moment in the sun again, globally. It will. But it might burn out quicker. It might burn out quicker when people really start to understand how horrific it really is. And I think prolonging fascism is what World War III is for. A lot of people don't see a point in World War III. They don't see a point in nuclear weapons or anything like that when directed energy weapons and long-range acoustic devices are right there. A lot of people don't see the point of, you know, nukes or thermobaric bombs. A lot of people don't see the point in World War III when we already know DEWs exist and EMFs exist and weaponized frequencies exist. We already know all this. So why is World War III with its more traditional weapons necessary? Well, my answer to that is, if you already have all those weapons, then why is Israel versus Palestine necessary? Why is all the strife in the Congo necessary? Right? Why was the Rwandan genocide and the weapons that were used there necessary? The answer is very, very simple. Optics and clearing the surplus population. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the far right's job is to decrease surplus populations through genocide and eugenics. Well, they're the same thing, really. So that's the far right's job. The far right's job is not to provide safety for everybody. It's to help cleanse as many people as possible, as many useless eaters as possible. Technically, I'd be one of them, but it is what it is, you know. So the Nazis are winning. They're definitely winning. And the reason why they're so angry, the reason why the Gangstalkers and perps are so angry, is because it didn't work out the way they thought it would. They thought it would result in them being happier than us, because that's how they are. But they don't seem to understand that the point in being happy is not for someone else to be miserable. That is not the point of being happy. I had to learn that lesson. The point of me being happy is not in me seeing my enemies fall. It's in seeing myself rise. It's in seeing myself get better and become a better human being and become happier and prioritize joy and stick to what I believe is important. That's the true definition of winning. It's not fucking vanity. Because that's what it is. When you need somebody else to be more miserable than you, when you need somebody to be, you know, unhappier than you, no matter what the situation is, that's fucking vanity. It's vanity. It's not, there's nothing real in that. It's just pure vanity and pure misery. If you need somebody else to be more miserable than you, it means you're not happy. And you need to examine why that is. You really do. You need to examine why that is, why you're not happy. I know why I'm not happy. It's because ultimately I'm alone, facing my own torture, my own trafficking, and my own murder. That's why I'm unhappy. All right? And I know that in my lifetime, I'm not going to end this. If my ordeal is ever going to end, I'm not going to be the one to end it. I'm on my own. And I'm not trying to rely on anybody to fix anything for me with regards to gangstalking. I'm taking my own initiative. I'm doing my own thing, working with people as and when. So I don't expect anybody to help me or to save me. It's a lovely idea. I, like anyone else, want companionship and I want to be saved. I want to be rescued. But it is not going to happen. I am in this murder. I am in this trafficking. I am in this torture alone. I have to deal with it alone because out of all my, you know, my black community, my women, my queer community, you know, my targeted individuals, you know, there are very few of us who are willing to accept the truth about targeting the torture, trafficking, and genocide of people on the low and using psychiatry as the long arm of that genocide. You know, not a lot of people are willing to accept the truth of that and what it means. Not a lot of people are willing to accept that even now. They're only just waking up to the fact that, you know, presidencies can perform inside jobs thanks to Trump. But even then, it's not enough. So I am alone and I accept that. You know, but that's what makes me unhappy. Being tortured, trafficked, and murdered makes me unhappy. It makes me very unhappy. But I know it's not going to, I'm not going to end things on my own. I'm not going to end things at all, let alone on my own. I'm not going to end this. I'm not going to end gangstalking. I'm going to be one of the first people to set the wheels in motion, to get justice for generations of people who have gone through gang stalking. I'm going to be one of the first. But I don't see myself ending my ordeal anytime soon. So I take refuge in things that bring me joy. I laugh whenever I can. I am by myself. I laugh whenever I can. I watch something stupid while I'm studying my astrology and my tarot. I study my astrology and my tarot. I study my occult. I talk to people who make me laugh. I talk to people that I really get along with. Truth be told, I'm pretty sure a couple of them are gang stalkers, if not all of them. And yes, it matters. I'm not saying it doesn't. But I take happiness wherever I can find it. I have no choice but to do that. Well, I do have a choice. I can be miserable. That's really not an option, considering everything that's going on. So I take happiness wherever I can get it. And, you know, with regards to the false diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia, I've been able to use that to lead a life for myself where I am assured somewhere to live. I am assured electricity. I am assured running water, regardless of whether or not I can actually pay it. That's the life that I have at the moment. It's not gonna be forever, but that's the life that I have at the moment. There are certain things that gang stalking has handed to me to try to debilitate me, but what I do is I reframe it and I use it to empower myself. So I take joy wherever I can. That's what I do. It's important for somebody in my position to do that. You know, it's important for somebody in my position to do that. So yeah, that's how I live my life. That's how I do what I need to do, you know. And the irony of the financial abuse of gang stalking is that if they hadn't financially abused me, I might not have come to so many different realizations about myself. I might not have come to the realization that all my life I've been really hard on myself. Judged against people who sold their souls for chump change. I'm nowhere near that bad. And like, if it wasn't for like gang stalking financially abusing me, like abusing me out of university, abusing me out of college, abusing me out of, you know, a lot of different things, abusing me out of receiving assets, abusing me out of being able to live a normal life. Without them abusing me out of that, I might never have known that even though I'm not an angel, even though I have flaws, like I have never killed people for chump change. I never will kill people for chump change. I will never sell my soul for a bargain, because if you're gonna you know, why would you sell your soul for that cheap? Like that's exactly what gang stalking does to you. Why would you sell your soul that cheaply? As a gang stalker or a perp, why would you be a gang stalker or a perp? Like you're literally selling your soul for nothing. Selling your soul for shit that ain't even worth it. You're just borrowing a little bit of time and that's it. Borrowing a little bit of comfort and that's it. It's not really yours. It's not really yours. You're borrowing shit that's not yours. You're borrowing comfort and peace and ease that's not really yours. It's not worth it. It really isn't. It's not worth it at all. And then don't even get me started on the rest of the world, the so-called normies, who refuse to listen to targeted individuals, who refuse to listen to what's going on and hear what's going on. They're literally just stealing time away from themselves. That's all they've ever done. Just steal time away from themselves, being comfortable, being complacent. I know all about that. But these people seem to think that because they have jobs and lives and careers and children and lovers and partners and, you know, all these things, they seem to think that because they have that, they're using their time wisely. Whereas there are people among the fringes trying to get the truth across to you about what's really going on. If you were all to rise up in your numbers and fight the same people we were fighting, God alone knows what you'd be able to do by now. You'd be able to change things. You'd be able to really move mountains. You'd be able to stop fascism in its tracks, control populations in a more humane way, create more humane hierarchies, more humane systems within society. You'd be able to do that, but no, you'd rather rob time away from yourself, being comfortable and being selfish. Because that's exactly what you do when you don't sacrifice anything. That's what I've realized in my life as well. Because I sacrificed my vanity, and my vanity is a big thing to me. It's not a small thing. My desire to look like the strongest and most lovable and most powerful person in the room has never left me. My vanity is a big deal, but at the end of the day, I must sacrifice that in order to speak up for what's truly important, in order to stand up to gang stalking. When I do that, I give myself time. When I do that, I give myself time. I give my family, I give the people who are not involved in gang stalking time. I give people who are like me time. Every single time I speak the truth and sacrifice, you know, my need to be liked and my need to be seen as the good guy. Every time I do that, I give myself time. And it's worth it. It is so worth it. 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 I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I have no regrets. I have regrets. But it has been worth every single regret that I have. It's been worth losing my vanity. It's been worth losing the ability to make people like me and love me. It has been worth it all. It has been worth every single piece of it. Yeah. And a lot of people think like when you shake your head, no, it means no, I don't like this. No, it doesn't mean that. It means I'm emphasizing the point that I don't regret anything. No, I don't regret it. I don't regret learning about gang stalking. I don't regret learning that I was a TI. I feel like it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I really mean that. I like it allowed me to come back to myself learning the truth about this. It allowed me to come back to who I am as a woman, who I've always been. That's what gang stalking has allowed me to do. Or knowing about gang stalking has allowed me to do. Because some people go through gang stalking and they're not able to find out who they are. They're not able to learn valuable lessons from it. But I have. And I'm grateful for it. I'm going to try and position this now. Oh. Oh. Hold on. Oh. Hey. Hold on. Oh. So yeah. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that I found out about gang stalking now. I am very grateful. Because I feel like if I hadn't learned, like if I hadn't really like had the blinkers taken off me and realized how fucked up the world really is, I think I would have been in a really bad place. I think I would have continued to feel ashamed of myself, to hate myself. Now I can look back at my actions with accountability and clarity, without disrespecting myself. Knowing about gang stalking gave me that. That's something that you can't put a price on. And also, you know, sacrificing your vanity in this way, it's, you know, when you sacrifice your vanity, a weird thing is, like, you gain this weird sort of internal confidence. You gain this weird sort of, you know, this weird sense of self that, like, is an unbroken sense of self. It doesn't matter what happens to you. You know who you are, and you know exactly what, well, I don't know what I want, beyond wanting to not be tortured, trafficked, or murdered anymore. Like, well, the murder thing it's too late for, but like the torturing and trafficking thing, I'd like to not have that. You know, I'd like to not have that in my life. I'd like to not be gang stalked. But knowing who you are, like, there's a deep sense of self that's kind of unbroken when you realize you've been gang stalked. And, you know, I go through pain because of what the gang stalkers are doing to me, the remote gang stalkers are doing with their remote weapons. And they cause me pain that I can't mask, that I can't run away from, that I can't hide and can't put a full smile behind. I have to cry, I have to scream, I have to sit down, I have to rest, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, the pain that the pain that gang stalking has actually put me through, I can't hide how I'm feeling. So after I've had that ability to kind of release my emotions and release, you know, emotions that I've been forced to release, I look back at them, those moments now, and I realize they really unlocked me and forced me to get to know who I was. Forced me to realize that I'm human like anyone else. I don't like pain, right? And that it's nothing to be ashamed of. That vulnerability is nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to feel bad about, you know. It's just life. You know, it's just life. That's all it is. It's life. And, you know, once you're broken open like that, you stop feeling ashamed of being vulnerable. You stop feeling ashamed of being upset. You stop feeling ashamed, you know. And the irony is that the more the gang stalkers try to weaponize your negative emotions, and the more they keep trying to force those negative emotions, the less ashamed you feel of your negative emotions. I don't feel ashamed of them anymore. I used to feel really ashamed of them. I used to feel ashamed of myself. Now I don't. Because why should I? I'm not fucking torturing anybody for chump change. I'm not murdering anybody for chump change. So why should I feel ashamed? Fuck that. I'm not doing it. So why should I feel ashamed? Like, crying is nowhere near on the same level as torturing another person and murdering another person for nothing more than enjoyment. They're not even remotely the same. So why should I feel ashamed of my emotions? Oh, I drink a lot of water. I don't usually drink like Volvic, but I do drink a lot of water. Oh, it's been wild. Just between you and me, whoever's watching this video, it's been like the last few days have been wild. I swear to God, like the last few days have just been crazy. Just crazy. Like since the 10th, Did you guys hear about the governor of Utah basically saying that the gunman of Charlie Kirk was not black like they hoped? Wasn't the suspects that they'd hoped? The governor, I think it was the governor of Utah, right? He said it was something like, it was a shame that it wasn't the suspects that we'd hoped. So you don't even care that Charlie Kirk is dead. You just care that the wrong person shot him. Bro, that's wild as hell. I don't know. What do you even do with that? I feel like that sums up the far right in a nutshell. They like, there's a target, there's a fake target, they put it there themselves, and then they're disappointed at the outcome. Like, man. And then the Nazis at Huntington Beach, like, saying white man fight back. I mean, he literally did, and he did because Charlie Kirk wasn't conservative enough. I'm not celebrating Charlie Kirk's death because, like, again, just like I explained to one of my trolls, it just gives the far right an excuse to commit violence against black and brown people, and to low-key leech off us. But I wouldn't be lying to you guys in saying, you know, that I had any empathy for Charlie Kirk. I don't. I do not have any empathy for that man, because he was racist against black and brown people. He was anti-Semitic against Jewish people. Low-key, I think that's partially why he was killed. Gay and trans people often caught his ire as well. He had a whole, like, digital watch list he called the professor's watch list. And he had a list of all the professors that basically disagreed with his views. And he opened all those people on that watch list up to constant harassment at the very least. You know, the type of people who do shit like that? Gang stalkers. And then on top of that, after Charlie Kirk died, any online creators or left-leaning creators that were, you know, said to be enjoying Charlie Kirk's death, yeah, they had a list of online leftist creators for people to go and harass. You know what that is? That's also fucking gang stalking. That's also fucking gang stalking. On top of, like, so Charlie Kirk was a gang stalker, as is typical of the far right. He was a gang stalker. Maybe not in name, but that's what his behavior gave. So no, I don't give a single fuck about him or his wife. Children maybe, but they'll be fine. It's everybody else I'm worried about. And then there's the targeting of HBCUs, and then there's a targeting of black people in general after Charlie Kirk's death. So people are literally more angry at black people not giving a fuck about Charlie Kirk's death, more angry at brown people not giving a fuck about Charlie Kirk's death, more angry at white people not giving a fuck about Charlie Kirk's death than they are with the white man who shot him. They're literally angrier with people who, you know, who don't show empathy for them rather than the people who actually harmed them. The far right are more likely to punish people who hurt their feelings than people who actually hurt them, because they, you know, for them it's the rule of, you know, whoever is the biggest predator, they're the ones who get to do the most shit. So they don't go after the people, you know, that kill each other within their own ranks. They go after the people that mock them, that laugh at them. That's what they do. You know? Even though, like, it was a white man who shot Charlie Kirk, there's still, like, an Oxford student or an Oxford graduate who was black who mocked Charlie Kirk's death. And there, you know, the internet is filled with people saying that that black man is dumb or that he doesn't deserve his Oxford scholarship. Like, again, there is literally more anger at black and brown people and progressives than there are at the rich white people who are actually harming you. That's what the far right does. That's what the far right does. They attack people who hurt their feelings rather than people who actually hurt them and inhibit their freedom and inhibit their ability to live the lives that they want to live authentically. Because let's be real about the situation. The far right, or anyone conservative leaning, well, anyone extremist and conservative leaning, not all conservatives are like this. They're heavily submissive and they hate themselves for it. They're heavily submissive to authority. They buckle when there's a louder voice than them in the room. They buckle with people more violent than themselves. They would literally buckle at somebody who's more violent than them, but, you know, let somebody mock them and suddenly it's war. That's how they are. They're inherently submissive and they hate themselves for it. Why do you think they constantly go out of their way to try to prove their strength all the time? They have a humiliation button that's very easily pressed. More easily pressed than anybody left-leaning. Because over here, we're used to people insulting us. We're used to people we're used to being given shit over here. Black and brown people are used to getting shit all the time. Women are used to getting shit all the time. Queer people are used to being killed. Trans people are used to being killed, let alone given shit, okay? So over here, we're supposed to be the snowflakes. We're supposed to be, oh, you can't say this and you can't say that. Baby, we have been forged in fire. Over here. We've been forged in fire. You are the ones who are the snowflakes. You are the ones who cannot take being humiliated by people that you're told are lower than you. You are the ones who can't take the fact that you have a humiliation button that's very easily pressed. You cannot take the fact that you need somebody else to be miserable in order to function because you are miserable and you don't know why. You are the one who can't take that you're inherently submissive and you feel embarrassed about it because you're meant to be the conquerors of the world. That's you. That's you. And when it gets to a point where you are inherently submissive people and yet you mistake submissiveness for weakness, you start to project that weakness onto other people, and especially those that are told that are genetically beneath you. That's what you start to do. You start to have this psychosexual thing where you need to bully other people within this white supremacist system so that you know how it feels to be powerful. And when you're denied that, you get vengeful. You get resentful. That's all it is. Systemically, everybody is being enslaved. And everybody is being tortured. And everybody is being murdered. And everybody is being coerced and robbed of their true consent, their true free will. And this goes for everybody, regardless of your race. You know, the most privileged people in the world, rich white men, people have no idea how many oaths they are bound by, how many constraints they are bound by and abused by. Their natural submissiveness is taken and used to humiliate them and lean them into line and bring them into line. So what do? They take that out on other people so that they may feel the pleasure of being the powerful and dominant ones. The most privileged people in society are bound by class and wealth and religion and business. Industry. Let's call it industry. Bound by those four things. And when they're bound by those four things, when they're abused by those four things, when they are constrained by those four things, and they are naturally submissive people, they start to associate their submissiveness with weakness, with the desire to let other people run roughshod over you and humiliate you. You start to hate your submissiveness. So because you hate your submissiveness and you hate yourself, you then turn that and transfer that onto other demographics of people so that they may know what you feel every day. So that you may know what it is to hate your own submissiveness. So they may know how it feels to hate their own submissiveness. To be submissive to the powers that be and hate themselves for it. You systemically engage in, like, you know, you weaponize every corner of society and every system within the society so that other people so-called beneath you may know how you feel, that your submissiveness is weaponized against you, that the only thing you know is dominance, even if it's not inherently in your nature. You want other people to know the pain of what it means to go against your natural submissiveness. You want other people to know the pain of when that natural submissiveness is used against you, or when that desire for companionship and love and freedom is used against you. You want other people to know that pain. So you put systems in place to create this hierarchical structure of pain, death, and violence out of boredom, out of anger, out of fear, so that others may know your pain. And it's led to some of the most horrific human rights abuses globally over thousands of years. Who am I speaking to now? I'm speaking to the oldest bloodlines in the world, who are mostly white. Sure, a lot of them come from Persian bloodlines, but they are white, mostly. Okay, there's someone commenting under here. Hang on a minute, what's this? Hi, Laverne. So, yeah, that's basically what the far right and white supremacy is built on. Hatred of your own submissiveness. Hatred of your own desire for love and companionship and empathy. Hatred of those things, because those things were weaponized against you to keep you in line. So now you weaponize those things against others to keep them in line. But the irony of that situation is that the same thing that I'm talking about from a philosophical level with regards to the far right and with regards to white supremacy, the same thing that I'm talking about here, that same psychosexual thing is applied to gang stalking as well. That's exactly what gang stalking does. We all have the need to obey each other, to be submissive to each other, to love each other, to show each other compassion, to find joy in each other. We all feel the need to do that. But we are abused into thinking that's a weakness. So when targeted individuals are targeted, we're essentially targeted by people who are either ashamed of what makes them happy, or they are ashamed of their need to be happy because it's been weaponized against them. So now they want to weaponize your joy against you so that you may know how it feels in their position. But hear what? In my particular case, it had the opposite effect. Instead of making me feel ashamed of my submissiveness, instead of making me feel ashamed of my need for love and joy and connection, and it actually made me embrace those things and realize their true power. You see, you're never more powerful than when you're never, afraid to be vulnerable, than when you're never afraid to be joyful, than when you're never afraid to be loving, when you're never afraid to cry, never afraid to you know, admit how you feel from day to day. That is fucking strength. To know the inherent submissiveness you have as a human being within you, and to be completely comfortable with it, to be completely comfortable with your need to be loved and to be acknowledged, to be completely comfortable with that, and find a way to reconcile what you truly want with the reality of your situation, and finding ways to bridge that gap. That's fucking power. Not this fucking cosplay fantasy of, if I abuse you, then I'm the powerful one now. Like, get the fuck out of here. Am I out of battery? Hang on, I'm out of battery. I gotta put the charger in. Oh, I don't believe it. I can't believe I'm out of battery already. I should have charged this thing. Okay, put this charger in. Yeah. So that's what being truly powerful is. It's not about fucking like abusing other people and feeling like, it's not about that. It's about having the strength to be vulnerable. It's about having the strength to realize that, yes, you are a social animal as a human being. And then looking at your situation realistically and thinking to yourself, okay, how do I bridge that gap? That's real fucking power. That's real power. Not whatever the fuck these gangstalkers are doing. Not whatever the fuck the perps are doing. Not whatever the fuck the far right does. And not whatever the fuck the most powerful families in the world are fucking doing. It's finding that connection between reality and self. That's where the power lies. But anyway, I've got to go. I've got to cut this rant short. Well, it's not actually very short, but I do have to go because this thing is about to run out of battery. So, see you guys later. Bye-bye now.